we might have an opportunity for something with the negotiations going on with Iran. So I wondered if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The negotiations with Iran is one of the things that I spend most of my time on these days. You know, never before have we had a chance to avoid a war before it starts greater than the chance we have with Iran. The folks who right now are fighting to kill off diplomacy in the talks have made it clear when they're behind closed doors and when they're writing white papers that they no won't get picked up in the press, that their real goal is regime change, and that what they want to do is have violent regime change. They liked the Iraq war so much they want to play that game over again in Iran. The way we avoid that is by peaceful negotiations, and we have a president that's committed to them. We have an international community that's fully on board with them. And frankly, one of the only things standing in the way of success is the American Congress that seems hell-bent on destroying them. You know, in a couple of days, a gentleman is going to get up in Congress and give a speech that's designed to do one thing and one thing only: kill the negotiations with Iran. When Prime Minister Netanyahu addresses Congress, it is not to try to end the Iranian nuclear program. It is to try to end the talks with Iran over its nuclear program. Now, say what you will about the diplomatic protocol violations, and there's a lot to say about that. Say what you will about the partisan attack job that John Boehner and Mitch McConnell cooked up to arrange the speech. It should be deeply troubling to anyone who cares about America's security that here, when we have the opportunity to take one of the biggest security threats potentially out there, which would be an Iranian nuclear bomb, and we can get into the reality that the Iranians haven't decided to actually pursue a nuclear weapon, but setting that aside, an Iranian nuclear weapon, the arms race it would trigger in the Middle East, the potential for military conflict, that's a very real security threat for America and for Israel. We have a chance to solve that without a single bomb being dropped. And someone's going to Congress next week to try to stop that solution before it's implemented. That should be deeply troubling. It's worth noting, for those who don't follow politics, that I know everyone in this room does follow politics, so I won't belabor this point. It is a new level of partisanship in Washington that we've achieved and is demonstrated by this speech. You know, the old adage that politics stops at the water's edge was probably never true. But it used to at least be true that even when Republicans and Democrats were fighting amongst each other, that they both kind of wanted to, you know, at least in their own theory of what it meant to keep America safe, to actually keep America safe. The Israeli ambassador to the United States is a gentleman named Ron Dermer. His start in politics came working for a gentleman some folks might know, Frank Lutz, who's a Republican pollster who happens also right now to be Bibi Netanyahu's pollster, working on something called the Contract for America for Newt Gingrich. That's the individual who helped concoct this speech in Washington. It is a partisan political attempt to undermine a president by a group of people who would rather see this president fail than America solve its greatest national security threat, and in the process avoid a war that would be bigger than Iraq and Afghanistan combined. It is something that should shock the conscience of all of us. It thankfully is something that has shocked most people, and the fact that it hasn't shocked all of Congress is a testament to the fact that we have a lot more work to do. It is worth noting that for the first time maybe ever, you will see significant numbers of Democrats and significant individuals within the Democratic caucus boycotting the Prime Minister of Israel's speech. You know, icons of Congress like John Lewis, Jewish members of Congress like Steve Cohen and Jan Schakowsky, the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, they will not be going to this speech. This is uncharted waters we're in with these talks, and it speaks to the moment that we're in right now on the Iranian nuclear issue. And so one of the kind of specific messages I'll give today is to watch this space. Those of you here in Congressman Dent's district, Congressman Dent has previously actually been very good on this issue. A year and a half ago, he led a letter with 100 other members of Congress that said, we should give President Rouhani a chance to sit at the negotiating table before we slap new sanctions on. After he did that, Congressman Dent was ruthlessly attacked by folks on the right, and he has since backed off in his support for diplomacy. It would behoove everyone who lives in Congressman Dent's district to remind him that there are people who live here who support diplomacy and hope that he will continue to do so in the future.